Leveling up. Extreme business growth through raising your game. When what was once extraordinary becomes ordinary, you know you've leveled up.
Hello and welcome to the Leveling Up Podcast with me, George Swift. The Leveling Up Podcast is here to give you the personal development, the entrepreneurial development and the business growth that you, the ambitious business owner, desires. I'm here to give you the inspiration and motivation, but above all else, to challenge your aspirations to take you and your business to the next level. Today's episode concludes our theme this week, which is all about efficiency and effectiveness, about being more productive, getting more done in less time to a higher quality of standard. On Monday, we looked at the 1950s Fat Cat for clues on how we can run our diary, how we can keep ourselves on our agenda, and how we can maximize our time. On Wednesday, we looked at the killer to productivity and performance, that is multitasking. Today, it's a simple question. It's about what are the right things that you need to focus on that gets shit done. I tell you now, it is not an insult. So much of what you're doing right now in your business is ineffective. It's ineffectual. And even if it is effective, it's probably the wrong stuff, or it's not the best stuff that you should be focusing on. A big part of what I do is helping business owners break that first 100 grand turnover. Once you hit 100K, from there, you have a choice. You can start to build the lifestyle business that maybe you dreamed of right at the beginning. Or if you want to start building that empire, you now have the financial resources to be able to reinvest in your business and to take you and your business to the next level. Now, when I'm talking to 5-figure businesses, that's 20, 30, 40, 50K businesses, and we're looking at them hitting 100K, the truth of the matter is, you probably don't have the funds to have that much external resource to rely upon. The chances are you have to do most of it yourself. The question then becomes, what's the stuff that you should be doing the most of? And I see way too many business owners being completely ineffectual with their time because they're trying to do everything without realizing that much of that stuff isn't actually what's going to drive the agenda of growing their business fast. So I get it, right? You're working hard, you're working long hours, you only have so much time, so much energy, you only have so much money to be able to invest to take your business to the next level. And so much of those resources are being taken up in maintaining the status quo that you currently find yourself in. You know, you can work 40, 50 hours a week to maintain a 30, 40 or 50K business. And you're thinking, how do I hit 100 grand? How do I find twice as many clients? How do I find twice as much time or twice as much energy? The truth of the matter is, the chances are you can't. If you're only doing 10, 20 hours a week in your business, then guess what? You can already double, you can probably quadruple your business just by knuckling down, rolling your sleeves up and putting in the 40, 50, 60 hours a week that the rest of us are. However, the chances are you're already working long hours, you're already making a lot of these sacrifices. So if you want to get more effective with your time, definitely, if you haven't done so already, listen to Monday and Wednesday's episodes. That's episode number 103 and 104, because they'll give you some real pointers on how to maximize the time that you're currently spending. Today's episode is all about questioning what it is that you're actually doing. So if you imagine you apply the lessons from the previous 2 episodes this week, and you get twice as much done in half the amount of time, and you do it to twice the quality. So now the question is really simple. We can then leverage that again. We can multiply our effectiveness even further by asking the question, which is, what's the stuff that's getting us the result? And what's the activity that is either not getting us the result, taking us away from the result, or just not as effective as getting the result as something else? This way, you're getting twice as much done in half the amount of time to twice the standard, and then you double down on the stuff that's getting you the result. So there's an 80-20 rule out there, okay? This is a theory that came out many, many years ago. However, it's been proved now in so many aspects of life and in business, in human performance, in sporting achievement. And what it says is really simple, that 20% of your results come from 80% of your activity, and 80% of your results come from 20% of your activity. So in other words, you need to find out what's the 20% that you're focused on that actually gets you the majority of the result. It's also the case that 80% of your clients give you 20% of the headache, and 20% of the clients that you have give you 80% of the headache. So what if you were to get rid of, pass over the 20% of the clients giving you 80% of your headaches and consuming 80% of your time and your resources? What if you got rid of those? How much time would you have to then bring in more of the clients that only take up 20% of your time, even though they take up 80% right now of your client base? The message today: double down on the stuff that gets shit done. If your number one agenda is to grow your business right now, and if you do want to take your business from 40K to 100K this year, it needs to be a primary focus in what you're doing. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't be taking care of your clients and doing great service and all this stuff. Of course it is. All I'm saying is it needs to be a predominant focus and a predominant priority in your business right now, because you're asking for big results, big change, big growth. Therefore, it needs big attention, big action, and big focus. So if that's your focus for this year, then you need to ask yourself, what's the stuff that I'm doing that's getting me the result of growing my business in an accelerated way? So I see too many business owners that are doing networking, and they're going out there and they're making friends and meeting friends, and they're doing no business. Are you a business person, or are you out there trying to socialize? If you're going networking for friends, that's fine, by the way, but I want you to think of that as the equivalent of going down the pub to make friends down the pub. In other words, you get to do some of that, but you don't get to do it every day, and under no circumstances would you say that that was business development. You might try to, but it is never going to wash. So what you're looking at is saying, right, so networking isn't giving me the results, but actually when I go and speak on stages, I get the results. So what should you be putting your attention into? Getting more speaking gigs. Or what if you're doing the speaking gigs and not getting the result, but you go networking and you are getting the result, but you're also trying to do LinkedIn, social media, YouTube, trying to do videos, maybe trying to launch your own podcast, and you're only going to maybe, 1 or 2 networking events a month, and yet they've proven themselves time and time again to be the providers of the majority of your clients. So guess what? Cut out all that other crap that isn't getting you the results, double down on the stuff that is working, get yourself to a point where then you can reinvest into some of these other things which you might need down the line to take you to another level. So if I'd done this podcast 5 years ago, it would have got in the way of me growing my business. In fact, 5 years ago, so much of what I was doing was getting in the way of me growing my business, because I was taking on so much bad advice. It was well-meaning, I'll be honest with you, lovely people, but it was terrible advice for where I was at in terms of the strategy that I needed to apply in my business right now. And therefore, so much of what I was doing was getting in the way of me actually growing my business. And now when I talk to 5-figure businesses, one of the big things that I lean on, one of the big things I really beat them over the head with over and over again, is actually the majority of what you're doing is not getting the result. A lot of what you're doing is speculating. And if you're a 5-figure business, 30, 40, 50K, you don't have the time, the resources, the money to be able to speculate that much. So rather than speculating on whether podcasting is going to be the thing that's going to take your business to £1 million plus, or YouTube or Facebook ads or whatever, if you know that networking at a particular type of networking group where a certain type of business client goes to is working for you, find more of that, double down on that. We took our business to 150K from networking alone. We then took our business to about £250,000 with networking and referrals alone. How powerful would it be if you only had to focus on networking and referrals? What if I said to you, I gave you permission to stop doing all the social media activity that you were doing? Maybe you need a degree of social media presence, but you can back off the blogs and the videos, the podcast. Maybe you can back off some of the other stuff that isn't returning the rewards, but it's consuming so much of your time and your resources, and get your energy and your focus and your money and start to put it in the things that are already working, and double down and double down. Once you work out what the 20% that's giving you the 80%, guess what? You look at that 20% and say, right, what's the 20% of that 20% that's giving me the 80% reward within that? Does this make sense? And you continually hone your focus so you put your energy into the things that are giving you the biggest bang for your buck, the stuff that's working, the stuff that gets shit done. So stop working your ass off. Stop sitting there trying to do everything that everyone's telling you. You read a great book and you read another great book and you went to a seminar and you heard this thing and that thing and you're trying to apply 20 different strategies, none of which are actually applicable to where you're at right now in your business. Most of that activity is not rewarding in any way, shape or form. It's pure gambling. It's pure speculation. And if you're doing 30, 40, 50K, for example, you can't afford to speculate that much. Once you break 100K or more, guess what? You reinvest, you speculate some more. Break $250,000, guess what? Longer term strategy. You start to speculate a little bit more. You start thinking longer term in the future. $1 million, $5 million, $10 million. More and more investment goes into the research and development of new ideas, marketing tactics, into hiring people and developing staff. Longer term strategies that are going to pay off maybe in a year, 2 years, 5 years, maybe even 10 years time. But right now, if you're a smaller business, you need to just focus in and do the stuff that gets the result. So imagine you took the lessons from this week and you got twice as much done in half the amount of time to twice the degree of quality. And then within that, you continue to work the same number of hours that you are, 40, 50, 60 hours a week. But within that, you put all that energy into the 20% that's giving you the results that you're currently getting. You double down, you double down, you double down, and you take your business up, onwards, and you smash it through the next level. So I want to leave you this week with a little bit of homework. I set some homework on Wednesday. I set some homework on Monday. And today I want to leave you a little bit of extra homework. And that is this. Look at the stuff that's actually working. Start to measure. If you're not sure what's working, measure. Get the results. When you look at it on black and white, you look at a computer screen and a piece of paper, it's very hard to ignore the results. When you know that 80% of your new clients are coming from networking and they're coming from referral, but you're spending only 30% of your time on networking and referrals, it doesn't take a genius to say, oh my God, I've got to do more of this and I've got to do less of this other stuff. So break it down this weekend. Look at all the stuff you're doing. Look at all the areas where you're being completely ineffectual. And then look at the areas where you're getting the maximum results that are in alignment with what it is you're trying to achieve right now, your big, fast business growth, and any other agenda that you're currently running right now. Double down on those things. I promise you, you will thank me for taking this time. The other thing I want to invite you to do, if you haven't done so already this weekend, is plug yourself into the Six-Figure Fast Track. I promote it. I share it with you every single episode. The Six-Figure Fast Track is a masterclass webinar that I've shot, recorded, video, put it out there for you. It's completely free of charge. It's my big give back to help business owners to take their businesses to 100K or more. So in other words, how do you get from 20, 30, 40, maybe £50,000 in turnover? How do you break the 100 grand turnover or more within the next 12 months? Within that, we look at the six-figure mindset, the six-figure business model you need to have in place, and we also look at the six-figure methodology, the day-to-day activity. I'll give you a spoiler alert. What I've just shared with you in this episode definitely shows up on the Six-Figure Fast Track. Doubling down on the stuff that's working. Cutting through the chase. Who do you listen to? Who do you ignore? What do you implement? What do you park for later? These are all questions that I help you answer on that Six-Figure Fast Track webinar. You can find that at biggerbrighterbolder.co.uk/fast track. I'll drop the link in the descriptions below. Get yourself onto that Six-Figure Fast Track. I will see you next week when you will be super efficient, super effective, super productive, super focused, and you will be smashing it out of the park and taking yourself to the next level. Have an awesome one. Until then, as always, be successful.
Leveling up. Extreme business growth through raising your game. When what was once extraordinary becomes ordinary, you know you've leveled up.